I'm Jennifer Sanasi. You're watching News 24 Live. Well, an exciting night in Parliament last night as President Jacob Zuma gave his State of the Nation address. One party got thrown out, another walked out. Joining me in studio is political analyst Daniel Silk. Daniel, I imagine you had a busy night, as the rest of us did.
It was a busy night. It was an interesting night, and in some ways, perhaps a distressing night for South Africa.
Yeah. Now, what did you take away from the President's speech?
Well, are we looking at what happened before the speech, or are we having a look at the speech itself?
I mean, we really should look at what happened before the speech, because it was chaos in Cape Town.
Yes, I think you cannot divorce the disruptions and the negativity of the early part of the entire proceedings with the speech. I mean, ultimately, it started off, of course, even before those gathered in the House of Parliament, with the demonstrations on the streets in Cape Town and the arrest of two relatively senior Democratic Alliance members on the streets. That already set a negative tone for certainly the DA entering the chamber, but this was all exacerbated by the apparent blocking of the 3G cell phone signals out of the chamber. And if anything is going to anger not only the press but politicians, it's going to be the curtailment of freedom of expression, and in particular using this kind of method. Now, these strong arm tactics were certainly enough, again, to get the backs up of members of Parliament. And again, that set the scene for the expected disruption of the EFF and then the reaction that followed. So the entire build-up to this event was compounded every step of the way. And became rather an unedifying glimpse into South Africa's nascent and fledgling democracy. And also, I think the end result, of course, of the disruption itself is that our democracy, to a degree, has become just that bit more fragile, as the credibility of the institution of Parliament now is perhaps questioned. Actions taken by the Speaker and the governing party perhaps now question our commitment towards accountability and freedom of expression within the House. And that's been, I suppose, the negative takeaway for me in terms of the disruptive elements of last night.
Now, the negative lead-up didn't actually start last night. There's been a negative lead-up in the past few weeks. Did you anticipate it to be this chaotic even before members of Parliament were all seated?
Well, no, I don't think one anticipated this level of dissatisfaction and just discontent that permeated their entire afternoon and into the evening. But it was predictable that there was going to be a degree of disruption from the EFF. Yes. The EFF, as we know, ran a countdown clock on their website for the last couple of weeks, indicating that something explosive was going to happen at the address itself. So this was entirely predictable. And because of the predictability of it, one would have expected that those in Parliament, the parliamentary office bearers, and the presiding officers would have been a little more better prepared for what was due to happen. I mean, sending in security personnel to eject those EFF members, that issue needed to have been clarified well before the time. In other words, who were those security personnel who were sent in? Were they officers of Parliament, which would have been broadly acceptable, or were they extra outside officers, part of the South African Police Services, for example? And that issue should have been clarified before.